Alright, part 4. Let's finish this up. This video should be much shorter. And then you'll have everything you need to know for Monday for our literary analysis. Consider this kind of like part of your Friday assignment that we're not going to be having for Friday because it's technically a day off for the district. So I'm trying to fit this all in so that we are ready to go and familiar with what we'll be analyzing on Monday with Down at the Dinghy. So let's continue. Point of view. So there's first person, which is usually the narrator, is a character within the story, reveals own thoughts and feelings, but not those of others. And then third person is an objective. There's 3 different types. There's objective, which is a narrator outside of the story, acts as kind of a reporter, cannot tell what characters are thinking at all. Limited, narrator outside the story, but can see into the mind of one of the characters, so kind of can tell how the main characters, especially, but then other characters too, how they're feeling, a little bit of what they're thinking. And then omniscient, which is a narrator that is all-knowing outsider who can enter the mind of more than one of the characters. So limited is one of the characters, usually the main characters, and omniscient is all the characters, knows what they're thinking, what they're feeling, but still is an outside presence. So, review of some of the rhetorical elements of the stories. Some things we've already gone over, but again, these are really important things that you want to be familiar with. So rhetorical elements, foreshadowing, so use of hints or clues to suggest event that will occur later on in the story. Sometimes in a book series, something will be foreshadowed in the first book that won't happen until the last book in the series. Again, using Harry Potter as a reference, a lot of things that are foreshadowed in the first and second book don't really happen or are mentioned again until the last book, and then you're like, oh, they totally foreshadowed this. They said this was going to happen. They mentioned this. Oh my gosh, how did I not know? For instance, spoiler alert, if you haven't read the Harry Potter series, plug your ears or whatever, or skip this little section until you see me talking about tone. I'll circle it so that you know where to skip to, I guess. There's hints in the first and second book, but that Harry himself is a Horcrux, and then that's revealed in the final book. So, tone, I'm circling it for those of you who I said this is where you can go after the spoiler. Author's attitude stated or implied toward the subject, revealed through word choice and details. So how they feel about the subject. When you guys were watching the Pixar films, you could tell the tone of the creators of it a lot by what was implied by what the characters said or what they did and how they acted. Mood, climate, or feeling in a literary work. Choice of setting, objects, details, images, and words can set that mood. So it can, for instance, if a book is, or even a scene in a book is set at a scary castle in Renaissance times, and there's a dungeon with torture objects, the mood probably kind of scary or a little freaky, right? So you're kind of freaking out and your heart's racing. It's probably a thriller part of the book, or it's a thriller book, or a murdery book, or whatever. And that kind of sets the mood with the images and objects and the setting of where the section of the book, or the entire book, or the entire movie even, is taking place. Symbolism. Person, place, object, which stand for larger or more abstract ideas. So we've talked about this before with a clock can represent time or the passage of time. American flag in this instance, in this example, can represent freedom. A dove can represent peace. And then irony. So contrast between what is expected or what appears to be and what actually is. So different types of irony. Verbal irony, contrast between what is said and what is actually meant. Irony of the situation, event that is the opposite of what is expected or intended. And then dramatic irony, audience or reader knows more than the character knows. For instance, for dramatic irony in horror movies, a lot of times we know where the killer is, and sometimes even who the killer is before the character does. So it's dramatic irony. We know that the murderer, knife wielding murderer, is hiding behind the cabin that the main character or the character is going towards. So we know that they are about to encounter this villain, but they do not. Okay, so figurative language. We went over this before, so I'm not going to go step by step over ones that we've already gone through, but please take a look at this because these are important. So figurative language, language that goes beyond the literal meaning of words. A lot of figurative language is going to be used in your short stories that you're going to read, and the ones that we're going to be, the down at the dinghy that we're going to be using as an example. So make sure that you know these things because you can use them as examples to support your argument, whatever argument you decide to do for your short stories. So there's simile, metaphor, alliteration, assonance, which we didn't go over before, I don't think so. It's the repetition of the same first vowel sound. Personification, onomatopoeia, fun word to say. Hyperbole, parallel structure. We didn't really go over this, so it's the components in a sentence that are grammatically the same or similar in how they are constructed, how they sound, and what they mean, etc. Repetition. That is really, really important. If you repeat something or the author repeats something multiple times, it's usually important and something they want you to focus on. Allusion, and then antidote. So that is the end of this really long PowerPoint that has taken us 4 videos to do. Well, we did other things in the original videos, but now we are back to the end of this. So make sure you're getting reading done. I know if you don't get some reading done today, that makes total sense with how many videos were recorded. So make sure you're turning in your reading log, guys, what is really due today. So make sure you're taking advantage of the 3-day weekend and catching up on work and getting prepared for our literary analysis of Down at the Dinghy. All right, so have a good 3-day weekend. Bye.